I think from a major secular trend perspective, the latest innovation actually has been unleashed. Over a decade ago, we actually decoded the human genome. And that actually attracted a lot of new companies with new ideas, new therapies in solving these puzzles of human disease. And a lot of highly specialized companies were being built, products were being designed and launched. That has driven the innovation part of it.
Welcome to the Leading Minds podcast, where we delve deep inside the minds of the top life sciences executives. Join us as we unravel how they think, their vision for the industry, the purpose that drives them, and how they are moving the industry forward while fueling growth for their companies and their teams.
This is Leading Minds, and I'm your host, Jasmeets. In every episode, we meet a leader who has made a lasting impact in the life sciences industry and continues to drive the industry forward. We go beyond the name and the title to unravel their personality, their beliefs, their mission, and most importantly, to understand how their brilliant minds are changing the world for the better. Before we get started, I want to thank our exclusive sponsor, Axtria, a leading global provider of cloud software and data analytics solutions to the life sciences industry. Now on to today's episode. I'm truly honored to introduce our guest, Jassi Chadha. Jaswinder, or Jassi, is an entrepreneur, a highly regarded data scientist, and an influential thought leader in the life sciences industry. He currently serves as the president and CEO of Axtria, which is one of the life sciences industry's most prominent global players, serving customers in over 130 countries. Previously, Jassi was the co-founder and CEO of MarketRx, which was acquired by Cognizant Technology Solutions. Some of the most aspirational lists have featured Jassi and his companies. These lists include Inc. 500, Deloitte Fast 50, NJBiz, Smart CEO, Red Herring, E&Y Entrepreneur of the Year, Life Sciences Voice Top Industry Leaders Award, PMSA Lifetime Achievement Award, and many, many other awards for growth, product, culture, and technology. Jassi is an advisor, board member, and investor in several diverse organizations. He is currently also a member of the 2nd District Advisory Council of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He completed his Bachelor's of Engineering from IIT Delhi, has a Master's in Industrial Engineering from the University of Texas at El Paso, was a doctoral candidate in Operational Research at Texas A&M University, and has an Executive MBA from the Harvard Business School. Jassi is a true family man and loves spending time with family and friends. He's a foodie and has probably tried every international cuisine out there, and his passion for travel is known to all his friends, family, and colleagues. In fact, it is hard to find another person who has visited more countries than Jassi has. Jassi, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jasmeet. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, stating the facts. So, Jassi, I've had the privilege to work with you. So I'm intimately aware of the phenomenal professional journey you've had. But it'll be great for our audience to hear about your professional journey in your own words. And if you would like, you can start from your university days and how and when you were bitten by this, entrepreneurial bug, and maybe some of the major events along the way.
Sure, Jasmeet. Happy to share my journey. So, Jasmeet, I grew up in India, and for my undergrad degree, I went to IIT Delhi, which is in the area of mechanical engineering. The way that all the IITs were set up, and especially IIT Delhi setup, is very unique. Being in India, it was truly set up as a global leading university. And they gave us the exposure to doing things that you would normally not find in India, at least at those days. Right from running the country's largest student-run festival to running sports meets. I had the opportunity to participate in, the student government, as well as running the dorms, as well as some of the sports program as well. I was also the captain of the basketball team and participated in many other sports. So, had quite a bit of experience. Along with that, I actually had the opportunity to make lifelong friends. And one of the other unique things about IIT is that, you're very well connected with your peers, but also your seniors and your juniors. And that's where the inspiration of becoming an entrepreneur started, because many of the the seniors that I had known, they went on to become successful entrepreneurs. When I came to US, I landed in Texas, and there were a number of things happening. This is in 1990, so way back when. People like Michael Dell had the audacity to start up a company, Dell Computers, to go up head to head with IBM, with HP, and Compaq. And at that, this is also the time where a lot of startup companies, software companies, are being built in the Silicon Valley. So that kind of became my inspiration to become an entrepreneur. When I moved to New Jersey to work for a healthcare consulting company, I found that was a perfect opportunity for me to actually being in a small entrepreneur company and work directly with the founder and the CEO of the company. And I learned all the aspects of what you need to become an entrepreneur, learning how to sell, learning how to compete with bigger competitors, building a team, and doing all kind of business planning and so on. And that kind of set the stage. 2 years after that company was acquired, I left to start my own entrepreneur venture, which became Market RX. And as you said in your introduction, that had a pretty phenomenal growth and a successful exit in 2007. That's when I became part of Cognizant Technology Solutions. And at Cognizant, I had an amazing opportunity to become part of a very successful and a fast growing company, a great culture, a great business model. And Francisco D'Souza, who was the CEO at that time, who was an absolute rock star, asked me to start data analytics practice, which in some ways was now a different experience of entrepreneurship being in a corporate setting. So I started the practice, built the base and the foundation for that. And then I realized that actually I was probably not cut out to become an executive at a large tech company. And that was kind of the second part of the journey of my entrepreneur journey so far. In 2010, we left and actually started Axtria, and that's what I've been building for the last 13 years or so.
Yeah, that's been a phenomenal journey. And thanks for sharing it with the audience. Now, shifting gears to the present day, Jassi, can you talk a little bit about your current role and areas of focus? And this is not just as the CEO of Axtria, which of course is the big part of what you do, but also as someone who's a leading mind in the industry and is trying to drive the life sciences industry forward.
So, Jasmeet, I'm very fortunate to work in an industry that is probably, I would argue, the most innovative industry there is. The mission of the industry is saving lives or improving patients' lives. Can't think of any other industry that does more for the mankind that pharma does. And basically I got into this industry completely by fluke. Coming out of school at Texas A&M, I basically had an opportunity to get one job interview and one job, and that's how I ended up moving to New Jersey and working in the pharma industry. The pace of innovation in our industry has continued to amaze me. And actually, when you look at what has been happening in this industry over the last 10 years, it has actually accelerated. So, apart from being a CEO of a data analytics and a software company that services the pharma industry, in some ways, my role also is to actually think about how does the pharma industry serve the patient community and improve their lives. And that's where I spend a lot of time learning and reading about what's happening next in this industry.
Thanks, Jassi. You're driving so much impact in the industry, and it is evident not only in how Axtria has grown, but also how your customers are able to benefit from the innovations you've been able to bring. Now, as we all know, our industry, and you mentioned this, is changing rapidly. Can you talk about some of the major shifts in the industry and the key factors that are driving this change?
Absolutely, Jasmine. So, look, I think from a major secular trend perspective, the latest wave of innovation actually has been unleashed. As over a decade ago, we actually decoded the human genome. And that actually attracted a lot of new companies with new ideas, new therapies in solving these puzzles of human disease. And a lot of highly specialized companies were being built, products were being designed and launched. That has driven the innovation part of it. And as we go through, look at what has happened in the last 5 years. The last 5 years is when we had the COVID pandemic globally, and that really shook the foundation of the whole, in some ways, human mankind, right? With the partnership with the governments and other industry, the pharma industry rose to the challenge and actually was able to design a vaccine. And there were many vaccines that were designed and launched, but particularly the mRNA vaccine really proved to be very, very effective. And actually, I would credit them with a big turnaround in terms of turning that pandemic around. But as that business that got impacted, all the businesses got impacted. We learned how to work remotely. We learned that, for example, in the pharma industry, which is very, very human centric, very high touch centric. You see, before the pandemic, it was almost unheard of that, you could get treated by the patient, by a physician without going and seeing them. And the pharma that way actually would service the doctor community and the hospital community by actually having specialized sales reps going and visiting them and giving them medical information and telling them how to treat their patients. So all that has changed, and that actually brought in the whole area of omnichannel customer centricity, where the farmers started realizing that we need to actually build our relationship with the customers across all channels and actually be aware of that. As that has actually unfolded over the last 3 or 4 years, what has also happened is that the pharma has become more and more patient-centric, and they're really trying to understand, how do you track a patient life? Of course, within the confines of confidentiality and patient information security. But as they get closer to the patient, they can understand the needs of the patients better, and that way they can actually service the patient better. So that actually has unfolded as well. One of the other things that has also happened is that the businesses are becoming more global. Being an American company based in New Jersey, a big customer base for either the US companies or global companies headquartered in US, we have increasingly become a global company because a lot of pharma companies realize that the pace of innovation in terms of understanding of patients and their doctors who treat them, that knowledge can actually be used to make their operations more effective and efficient globally. And that also has been a major trend that we have seen over the last 5 years or so.
Right. Those are some incredible insights, Jassi. And you and Axtria are playing a critical role in helping life sciences companies successfully navigate this change and trying to get ready for the future. So many congratulations on that. As you were talking about patients and patient centricity, it reminded me of your keynote that you delivered at Reuters, and it is very timely and how pharma thinking and mindset is changing in terms of engaging and delivering the experience that the end customers need. It's a change in the mindset that's happening. Mm-hmm. Now, going a little bit deeper into your professional journey, it goes without saying that you have been, you have seen so many ups and downs, right? Mm-hmm. And learned so much over the years. Can you share with our audience some of the key learnings from your own journey?
So, I used to talk about some of the key learnings of when I started becoming an entrepreneur in terms of, focusing on hard work and not worrying too much about the luck and the outcomes because, that's kind of, you can't control that. I think one of the key things as I have realized, if you look at Axtria today and the opportunity that we have, as well as the scale of business that we currently have, is larger than I had ever imagined it to be. I have 3 kids and, all of them are gamers. And, one of the things that I actually realized is that running a business and building a business is almost like a video game. It's almost like, you get to the next level and you realize there is a very different world out there.
Right.
And for me, I think one of the things is that it's almost like it has an analogy to not just the business but life. As you go through it and actually get to the next milestone, that's when you actually realize, oh my God, there's a whole world out there that I did not even realize, or I wasn't even aware that it's out there. So my biggest aha over the last several years has been that the opportunities are bigger than your own imagination.
So you really have to expose yourself to that new world to actually be able to understand what the opportunity really is, right?
Correct.
At every level. And that's
And
a
you have to
very
crack a level to realize what's
right.
the next level.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very interesting analogy. I love the way you talk about your journey and share your learning, because they're really grounded in reality and are extremely practical. Now, based on your journey, what is your advice for industry professionals who are aspiring to be leaders of tomorrow?
So I think, when you think about leadership, there are different elements of that. One is actually having a very clear mission in your mind so that actually motivates you, but more importantly, motivates the people around you. Why are people putting their careers or their hard work on the line? What outcomes are we driving? I think one of the biggest things that a leader has to do is to clearly define that mission, so to speak, right? The leader also actually shows you the path and actually shows you how to, what the vision clearly defines the vision, but also defines you how to get there, right? And then along with that, you basically build a team that actually is equipped and has the resources that is needed to actually get to that goal. And again, the part of the leadership is to actually make sure that you not only have the team who's equipped, but also you provide them the resources you get there. And everyone knows this, but I just want to basically state the obvious. The culture of the team is also driven by the leader. And so, it doesn't matter what setting you're in. I mean, it could be
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur, it could be a team captain of a sport, it could be a team leader in a pharma company, whether on the commercial side or the logistics or the clinical development side. I think these values hold true. And in our particular case, what you as I talked about earlier, the mission of actually improving patient lives and saving patient lives, I can't imagine a better purpose, a better mission. And within that confine, everyone who works in the life sciences industry has an opportunity to get inspired from that, draw their missions from that bigger mission of the industry, and actually define that for their teams.
Right. Those are some wonderful nuggets of advice, Jesse, especially for the professionals trying to become leaders of tomorrow in our industry. That purpose really, brings us together and drives us to, bring the outcomes that are required.
We'll continue the conversation after this quick message from our exclusive sponsor, Axtria. Improving commercial and patient outcomes. That's our goal at Axtria. We are at the forefront of life sciences digital transformation with the most advanced cloud software and data analytics solutions, enabling companies to manage data, derive artificial intelligence-powered insights, and streamline business operations across the product lifecycle. Because of our deep expertise in the life sciences domain, we are the top choice for life sciences companies for their digital and business transformation initiatives. We work with all of the top global life sciences companies who consider us their true partners, driven primarily by our most important differentiators, our people, and our inclusive and progressive culture, which is focused on developing the life sciences leaders of tomorrow. With every project, we are helping our customers achieve commercial success. But more importantly, we are helping them improve health outcomes for patients. See what we can do for you at axtria.com.
Jesse, it is clear to me and everyone that knows you that you are extremely busy with the role that you play at Axtria. And you mentioned this before about learning and growth, because it's not just Axtria, but you also have, other things that you do and, the impact that you're driving for the industry. So I also want to know how you're driving your learning and growth, because I know you're a big proponent of learning and growth at every stage of your career. But can you tell our audience how you continue to learn and grow despite, such a busy schedule?
Yeah, Jasmeet. So I think first is that, you have to believe in lifelong learning, and it doesn't matter how
Mm-hmm.
successful you are or how old you are, the learning should never stop, because I think when the learning stops, that's when your growth stops, and that's when big life begins to get more boring. I would say that in my particular case, the so-called learnings has happened in a couple of ways, and most of them have been deliberate in some ways. When you think about learning from your mentors, and peers, you have to make an effort to basically go and seek out the mentors and build a relationship with them and engage with them on an ongoing basis. And in my particular case, I have, for me, that is the investors, the board, as well as some of the friends I have who have been successful executives and entrepreneurs, that I can actually tap in that network when I need to, so to speak, when I come across a particular challenge. The second way that I have actually done it is that actually I have engaged myself, and in any network, it's only as good as the investment you put in actually learning and investing and contributing to that. And in my particular case, I would say that there have been a couple of networks. The two networks that have been really helpful for me in my business journey and learning has been YPO, Young Presidents Organization, as well as
Hmm.
TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs. And in some ways, both their missions are very similar. That's when you're a leader, it's lonely at the top, and you have the opportunity to actually learn by learning from others' experiences. And I participated quite in that. And then you actually start thinking about, a lot of the learning can't happen just by talking to people and actually having informal conversations or attending some talks and seminars. You have to actually make an effort in doing formal learning and education. And for me, I have actually done quite a bit of those programs and I continue to do that. I am absolutely always blown away with the quality and the content that Harvard Business School and their programs put together, and particularly in their executive education program. I have also participated in many of the programs at Stanford and University of Michigan and so on. And I continue to actually invest my time almost every year attending some of these programs in a very formal way as well. And last but not least, just me, there's a wealth of information that is available to all of us through the digital platforms, right? Whether it's
Right.
TED Talks to, just reading articles that get published by following some really smart thought leaders on LinkedIn. I read a lot on the online medium as well. So it's a kind of a many different dimensions of how I try to basically learn from other people's experiences.
Yeah, those are, thanks for sharing. Those are very unique ways that you've just mentioned, because a lot of times when you talk to executives, they talk about, one or two areas or reading a lot and so on. But you talked about a spectrum of things that you can do. And, I was relating it back to your analogy that you put earlier, relating it to the video game levels, right? When you arrive at a new level, you need to be ready for it, and you need to then learn to be able to grow in that level, right? So it makes all sense. Now, always important for us to understand, for the audience to understand, how some of our leading minds continue to learn. But I also want to ask about your work life balance, or, how you balance the professional and personal life. Can you please share how you try to balance on your personal side, especially when it comes to family, friends, and health?
Absolutely. So look, in some ways, if life is like a marathon, right? I mean, whether you look at the life as being 50 years, 100 years, or anything in between, I mean, it's a marathon, right? So I have taken a view that, you have to basically work hard and play hard. You can't actually win in the marketplace if you're not working hard. And we all work hard, right? So I'm no different than any of the successful people out there, no matter what field that you excel at, you have to work hard. But at the same time, when you play hard, and many of the things that we actually do is that it's all centered around our own personal passions, our passion around family, our passion around friends, our passion, for example, my wife and I, we share a very strong passion for travel. Travel is fun. It's, you learn a lot, you develop, you get a perspective of the whole world. And, if you, and we spend a lot of time planning for it, a lot of time obviously traveling. We actually kind of commingle all of these things together, right? So for example, next week we are actually going to go to our class, Harvard Business School's class reunion in Israel, which sounds like a fun trip, which is, I'm sure it's going to be, but also there is a lot of learning in there where we're going to actually go visit some of the leading universities and actually talk to the professors and get an understanding of how the businesses are being built in Israel. So you can actually both travel, have fun, but also learn at the same time. So having that clear goal that it's not just work, but also your personal passion with friends and family and some of the other travel related passions we have. I think we have been balancing that quite well. Our kids, especially older kids who are now both adults, both 21, 23, we have traveled together to over 50 countries. And that's something that is a learning and a passion that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and it's very important to find that balance. So many congratulations on that, Jassi. And it's very interesting how you think about the professional and personal lives, and you spend a significant amount of attention to some of your personal goals as well. Which is, again, if you are in a marathon, even on the personal side, you have to think about how you build those relationships, or work on your health, over the long run to fulfill your goals.
Yep.
Now, on to some fun questions. I will be asking you some rapid fire questions that you will need to respond to quickly.
Uh-oh.
So, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. What comes to mind when you hear the word leadership?
I think it's you have to be an inspirational leader.
All right. Name your mentor or mentors or someone who has inspired you.
There are so many of them. Robert Brown, who was the CEO of the first company I worked for, Amar Prisani was a cousin who became the first mentor as a entrepreneur to help me and inspire me to become an entrepreneur. And actually, more importantly, the colleagues that I work with, who have helped us build two companies, I consider them to my mentors as well because I get to learn so much from them.
Awesome. What's some of the best advice you've received?
So I've received a lot of advice along the way. I think, one of them actually, and I have followed two in particular. One is that in life, you will have to balance your professional goals, your family, and your personal interest, including your health. And there is no one in this world who can actually optimize all three. So be very clear what's number one, number two, and number three. And that will actually help you define your personal priorities and your goals. And I think that's worked out quite well for me.
All right. What do you do in your free time?
I actually read a lot, as I said, on the online platforms about personal development and obviously around the business as well. In the whole passion for travel, for example, right now we are planning a trip that is going to be next year to Africa. And it's fun just learning and reading about various places in the world. And I really enjoy doing that.
Amazing. You can have dinner with any person in the world. Who would be the three people you would pick?
I actually used to talk about three people were Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, and Michael Dell, because these are three people I've really looked up to, and actually, in terms of the simplicity of how they explain problems to, building successful businesses. And so far, I've had an opportunity to listen to Michael Dell and Warren Buffett. Never had an opportunity to break bread with them, but I was very fortunate to actually have a couple of meals and days together with Richard Branson just a few months ago on his island at Necker Island. So I've kind of said that was one my goal, and I was fortunate to achieve at least one of those three.
That's awesome. That's my, personal goal as well, to someday do that with Richard Branson. He's just amazing. And the last one person you believe is a leading mind in our industry and you would recommend featuring on this podcast.
So I think there are so many different leading minds. I would say that, it could be someone like Jaideep at GS, or it could be the CEO of Moderna, as how he has really rethought about how to build a successful pharmaceutical company.
All right. Awesome. Those are some amazing rapid fire responses, Jassi. Love it. Thanks for sharing your journey and advice with our audience. You've had an incredible amount of success and made such a lasting impact on the life sciences industry that is making a difference not only in the current day, but for decades to come. Many congratulations on all the success.
Thank you, Jasmeet, for this, amazing interview. Clearly, you're really good at what you do.
I'm learning. Thank you so much, Jassi. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, to the audience, you are the most important part of the show. Because of you, we are the top show in the life sciences industry. Thank you so much for joining us today, and tune in soon for the next episode of Leading Minds.
Thank you for listening to the Leading Minds podcast by Life Sciences Voice. Please share and hit subscribe with your favorite streaming platform. For more information, please visit our website at lifescivoice.com.